I'm Jyotsna Bitra. I go by the name JB. I am the Marketing Cloud Consultant and Application Architect. I am the Marketing Champion and also the Golden Hoodie recipient. The founder and the co-leader of Salesforce Marketers Group and the Impact Force and Marketing Cloud Learning Camp. This Marketing Cloud Learning Camp is focused on helping Trailblazers learn all the Marketing Cloud concepts. And all the sessions that were conducted earlier through these sessions are hosted on the Trailblazing Together YouTube channel. And here's also my Twitter handle where you can connect with me. And I occasionally write some blogs that are hosted on jbitra.com. And here are a couple of sessions that were conducted earlier from the Impact Force series. And these are all great sessions by amazing speakers. We have all the great speakers talking about how to build confidence or how to get success through perseverance. And if you are planning to start your own ISV or a consulting business, how to get started, or how to build your own brand, or how to become a successful business analyst or a solution architect. There are plenty of sessions that were done earlier. And all those sessions are shared on the YouTube channel Trailblazing Together under the playlist named Impact Force. You can find all those sessions on this channel. Yes, Justin, it was a great session. I have this Justin's and the other session is Bradley Rice. These were really great sessions. And
oh yeah, Bradley.
And we have a lot of audience join those sessions, and we have done the live resume check and suggestions online. So great sessions to go back and rewatch those. And if you learned anything from this session, from today's session, and if you like something, share your feedback on the Twitter channel, and we will be happy to know if the session has been helpful to you. And this session is being recorded. And if you have any questions, please post them in the chat window. For the time being, I have muted everybody just to avoid any background noises. So if you have any questions, I will unmute everybody at the end of the session. Please feel free to talk. If you have any questions, feel free to ask directly. And today's session is going to be about how we can gain project experience. So we're all faced with the challenge when we are beginning the career in the Salesforce or any other career. As a freshener or an experienced person who is looking for a career switch, all the recruiters need is their experience. So if you look at the openings that we have currently available, most of the openings currently look for at least 2 to 3 years of project experience. But being a fresher or being a beginner, a person who is planning for a career switch in the Salesforce, and it's very hard to gain the project experience, and also without a job, and also getting a job without the project experience is also a challenge. And this session is going to focus on what ways that you can gain project experience without being on the job. So I have some amazing speakers, Lori and Mohit, here today. So I am really inspired by the projects that they have done. It's not like simply I just reached out to them and asked them to be our speaker, because I have watched them through many months, all the projects that they have been doing, and I'm really inspired by them. And I'm sure you also have many takeaways from their project ideas, and you can create your own project ideas. This is just to spark that inspiration, and I'm sure this is going to be helpful. And firstly, I would like to share my few tips, what I have observed that could be helpful. I have mentored a couple of people, and I have also listened to them, the challenges that they are facing. And I have put together a list of things that one can be thorough with, even without having the project experience in real time. There are other ways that we can gain project experience. That's one of the thing is through the Trailhead, where we can learn all the concepts and fundamentals, and using the developer edition, we can do some hands-on exercises. And in order to gain some real time kind of project experience, there are some super badges available. I'm sure most of you have already heard about the super badges, or you might have already done a few super badges. And if you have already done the super badges, you know that the super badge is all about creating a project right from the very beginning, like getting the business requirements and trying to analyze them, putting them together, creating a plan for yourself, and then implementing them. So it's a model of a real-time project experience, but it's a small project, it could be. And you can start with those super badges, and super badges really have some weightage in addition to the Salesforce certifications. Salesforce certification may really add some weightage to your resume, but completing these super badges also add much value. And thinking about your own real world projects or real world scenarios, you may be coming up with, you may be having some implementation ideas on your own. You may be going through some real world situation and you want to implement that in Salesforce. You can think about this. And this session is all about the real world project ideas, how Lori and Mohit have come up with their own ideas and how they have implemented it, and how it's going to add more weightage, how it's going to, they're going to talk on behalf of them. They don't need to say that they have experience. These projects talk for themselves, saying that they have really implemented this and they have some knowledge on the Salesforce concepts. And in addition to creating your own project ideas and trying to implementing them, there are some pro bono projects that may be available. And if you're not aware, Salesforce also has this pro bono program wherein the learners, the Trailblazers, can go and register themselves. And also the nonprofits, the NGOs will go and register themselves. So NGOs can be matched with the Trailblazers who are willing to help those nonprofits. So you can fill out a form, and whenever there is an opportunity coming up, then Salesforce will get in touch with you and they will assign you with a nonprofit. That's also one way that you can look for pro bono projects and gain some project experience. And if the response from the Salesforce is delayed, or they may have more Trailblazers waiting in line to be mapped, so you can also reach out to the nonprofits that are in your local area. So you can reach out to them and ask them in what ways that you can help them. Let me.
Seems like somebody's mic is on.
Yeah, I'm going to click and unmute.
Okay.
So you can reach out to the local groups and see if they have any project ideas. My experience, when I wanted to help out a nonprofit, they weren't ready for the Salesforce implementation, but being proactive and helping them find out the use cases. So if they implement their volunteer management or the nonprofit activities that they're doing, they can manage everything in the Salesforce. I have presented to them how Salesforce can help them, and also Salesforce provides 10 licenses for free to a nonprofit if they are 501c3 certified. So I help them with that process, and they gain access to the Salesforce, and I further help them in implementing the volunteer matching or the donor matching or the activities, the nonprofit activities that are in there, that assignment to the volunteers, and all this is automated in the Salesforce. It is maintained in the Salesforce. So you can also reach out to the nonprofits in your local area and suggest to them how Salesforce can help them and how you can help them. That's one way. And in order to get mapped to a nonprofit, or in order to find somebody who are looking for the talent, so just like us who are trying to gain some project experience, there are also some companies, they're looking for people who are experienced or who are willing to work on Salesforce to help them in their implementation. So there are many websites that you can check, and also as Akhilesh has posted in the chat, there are some organizations like websites like the Volunteer Match, the Catch-a-Fire, and some Upwork, where you can post about your profile and you can look for similar projects that you can implement that you can help on. So some websites you can follow and you can update your post your profile there. And if there are any matching jobs, you can be mapped to those jobs and you can start working there. And I constantly check my posts on LinkedIn. So there are so many people who are conducting some sessions like me. There are many community group leaders or the experts who are trying to help other trailblazers by these sessions. For example, Bradley Rice, they have this talent stacker program where they're going to help, they will help the people who are beginning their career in the Salesforce, help them in their profile building or the gaining project experience or creating their own brand. So some organizations like those, you can keep a watch on those, and if any training that suits you, you can attend those trainings. Those will definitely be of benefit to you, not only for the training content, but also to network with the people who are in the same stage as you, and they may be going through the job applications or they may be going through the learning process. We can collectively do that. And Salesforce often conducts the career fairs, and also Salesforce conducts some sessions which are helpful for anybody in their interview process or the resume building or the Trailblazer mentorship program. It helps in mapping you with the Trailblazer mentor who can guide you in this process. So there are multiple ways that you can keep going. Now, you don't need to wait for anything. You can just keep building your profile, start learning, and then implement it and showcase it on the social channels. And then when the opportunity strikes, you are already there. You are almost done with all the steps and you can give it a great shot. And similarly, I have seen some trailblazers who have come up with their own ideas. So whenever they're applying for a job, this is a profile that is developed in the Salesforce. This speaks on behalf of the trailblazer, what work they have done, what they're capable of. It's not only is a resume of them, but is also the work that they have done. So this is completely being done on Salesforce using Visualforce in the olden times, and now maybe she converted it to Lightning Web development or something. So this is nice showcase of what she already knew, and also it certifies that she has implemented something. And similarly, I have another trailblazer who is Pranav. Pranav is also supposed to join this session to be one of the speakers, but due to some circumstances, he is not able to join. But I'm also inspired by his resume that he created using Heroku app. So it showcases all his experiences, all his skills, certifications, and many more related to his profile. And it also tells the recruiter that he has implemented something great and he's good at doing. And I'm sure Lori has done a similar application like this. And I have seen the scan code. I'm interested. I'm just eager to know how you have implemented that, Lori. And Mohit has similar projects that he has created. And I'm really waiting to listen from them. Before that, there are some groups on the Salesforce Chatter that could be helpful. One of this is the volunteers for nonprofits. So this group is for the trailblazers who wants to help the nonprofits. So you can post about yourself that you're willing to help. And if there are any nonprofits who are looking for some help with their implementation, so they can reach out to you and you can start working for those nonprofits. And similarly, there are some groups on the Salesforce Chatter group. So these are some of the groups that you can look out for: jobs for Salesforce, and then some jobs in India, in the US, and some. These are all the job related groups that are on the Salesforce Chatter group. And these are all some tips that you can follow to showcase that you're really experienced. You have the knowledge. So one of the thing that I would recommend is, whatever you're learning, share that on the social media. If you have learned about a new concept today, try implementing that and also share it on the LinkedIn or any other social channels. So if anybody of your recruiters, they go and check your LinkedIn channel, they know that you have got the timeline that you have gone through, all the learnings that you have gone through, and it gives them the confidence that you are knowledgeable and you are actively learning, and you are a self learner and self motivated person. And here are some of the other points. We're going to share this presentation so you can look at this at a later point of time. And but not the least, last but not the least, is getting inspired from the trailblazers. So watch out for your fellow trailblazers, what they have been doing, and how they have been coming up with the new ideas, and how you also use those ideas. And with that, I will turn it over to you, Lori. I'm going to stop the screen share. You take it over.
All right. Okay. Let's see. Trying to figure out where my screen share is. Okay. All right. Can you see it okay?
It's all good.
All right. Good morning, everyone, or good evening, wherever you are. So I'm Lori Tibbetts. I started my Salesforce journey back in August while still working. And then I went, I left my nursing career sometime in September, end of September, and I started focusing on Salesforce starting October. So I was done with the superset by December. And I was like, what did I actually learn? Because as you know, it was mostly click and drag. And I wanted to know whether I actually learned something. So instead of trying to study for the certification exam right away, I looked at what I can possibly do to test if I actually learned something. And I thought I'd build an app. And as if on cue, on my LinkedIn, I came across Mike Wheeler's video on how to build an app in less than 12 minutes. And I watched that, and it was a mileage tracker app. And it was very, very simple, really. So it got me started. And the first app that I built was a canning tracker app. So for use cases, for my personal use cases, I was trying to look at my hobbies, and I made two apps that pertain to some of my hobbies. One of them is home canning, and the other is lotion making. So for the home canning, I do a lot of gardening in the summers, and we have very short summer. So what I would do is I would gather a lot of my produce and preserve them by canning them. I can make pickles. I can make tomato-based, let's say, soups or tomato sauce. I can have gumbo, spaghetti sauce, etc., etc. So I was like, my main problem usually is I tend to overdo it. So through the years, I've learned not to overplant, because it can be so tiring. It's a lot of work, and if I don't use most of them, I feel like I'm wasting them. Although, of course, I can give them to others, but it is a lot of work. So I made this app to keep track of how many I'm planting of these usual plants that I put in the garden, and then keep track of how many I have canned for the season. So it's mostly a seasonal thing that I'm keeping track of them. So I have a plant object where it's a simple, just keep track of how many, either rows of smaller plants or the bigger plant, how many bigger plants I have. And then I have the canning projects object. These are the usual things that I can. I do chili, diced tomatoes, dili beans, green beans, etc., etc. So I wanted to track how many total canned jars per project at the end of the season, because I want to know if I have enough so I can stop doing it and I don't tire myself unnecessarily. And if I still have too much produce from the garden, maybe for next year I will plant less. So it's as simple as that, really. And this is how entering the information looks like on the record. These are simple formula fields that it's a matter of just number of jars canned today versus plus the number of canned jars I already had in let's say a previous batch. So let's say this is the second batch that I'm making them. This auto calculates the total number of jars, and then I have a certain target number, and this is what I have remaining to make, and then I have pick lists here, multi-pick lists. I know I've learned that a lot of administrators don't actually like multi-pick lists, but I did this so that in let's say I will have a lot of green beans to pick, and then I would be like, what do I want to can today with these green beans? I would just use the search list, the search bar on my list view, and I would put in green beans, and then it will be showing me the different projects where I use green beans. This app is part of the Salesforce platform. Okay, so let's pretend I plugged in several numbers here just as to have some data, and then I will have a table here of how many jars I canned already, and what's my target number, and how many more do I need to make. So it depends on the size of the jars. My batch can be 7 if the pot is full and I'm using quart jars, and it can be 9 if I'm using pint jars. And then at the end, or even in the middle of the canning season, I will be like just tracking how many I've already done. So it gives me a sense of joy to know that I will have a lot of food set aside for winter, so that if we have snowstorms, I don't have to worry about it. Now, the second app that I made, thank you. The second app that I made was a Lotion trial tracker app. Like I said, another hobby of mine is making lotions from scratch. So on my homepage, I actually have an instruction page that says how to use this app. So essentially, this is just, let's say I will be targeting in the future some small business owners who are starting their business because they are selling homemade lotions like this. I used to sell them. So I remember back in time when I was testing the lotions, I would be testing an ingredient and see how the quality of the lotion is affected by one change. Okay, so that's how I designed my app surrounding my lotions, so that my purpose is to test the effect of a change in one ingredient on the quality of the lotion. So in order for me to make a test batch of a lotion, I need to make a small batch that is not less than 250. The 250 milligrams is really about roughly 1 cup. So it has to do with my stick blender. The head of the stick blender has to be immersed completely. Otherwise, I would be incorporating a lot of air into the lotion, which is not good because that invites bacteria, the microbes, to proliferate in those air pockets. And then I will have to choose one ingredient to vary that I will have to observe through time what the effect of it. If I vary that, it's either soft oil or hard oils, and then keep documenting the effects on the quality, so that when I enter the total amount first, and then I go back to update the document to note the effect on the quality. And then once I update the notes, I will have an automatic email. So, like I said, it has to be more than 250. I made it a validation rule. And these are required fields. So just simple concepts, right? I have to have those before I can calculate how much I need to measure of each ingredient. So for the ingredients, these are just automatic calculations based on the total amount that I entered. I have a fixed recipe, so the percentages are fixed. So the formulas were just simple percentages. And then I would start measuring them and mix them. And then once, because it starts as warm phase of both the water and the oils to emulsify. And then once they're cool enough, I will have to go back to this and enter my notes here. Now, for future possible application, if you're going to kind of convince some homemade lotion maker, you can change this so that you have like you can click the buttons and to quantify each of the qualities that you feel are necessary. Let's say about drag, from not draggy to very draggy. You know what I mean. So drag, slickiness, or oiliness, or watery, thin, thick, those qualities. And then once I save that, I had a flow. I forgot to take a snapshot of that, but it's a very simple flow, record triggered flow, that would automatically send me, once the record is updated, would send me an email so that I have a documentation in my email of this particular batch. And I think that was cool. So the third app that I made was done after I formed. So I founded this Healthcare Heroes Force group, which was intended to help healthcare workers who left the healthcare field and transitioning now to Salesforce. And the purpose of that is to bring together those newbies from the healthcare industry with those who are already ahead of us, like they've been Salesforce professionals. And I was hoping that I would get some sort of like an informal mentoring from them so that the newbies can benefit from them. So I had been doing informational interviews since I formed that. And I'm proud to say that our group has grown to about 200 members now from January 23rd. And so the informational interviews, there's quite a process I found out after reaching out to some and scheduling the event, So I thought, why don't I use an app to track down when I have reached out to the people, when I have made the Zoom invite, if I have sent them the Zoom invite and also posted it on LinkedIn. And when the interview actually happens, I would have a checkbox, and then I would have updates on LinkedIn. And I will also have a YouTube link there on my post on LinkedIn. So it's a process, really, because sometimes I would reach out to someone and that someone might be too busy that she's not able to reply right away. And then I'm reaching also out to someone else. So this is just to easily keep track of where I am at with every person, right? And these are the dates and times that I had them scheduled. So it's really cool.
Your imagination is the limit, so you can come up.
Exactly. Right. So now, this was really my ultimate. I said, before I get certified, I want my job application tracker app ready. So initially I thought, geez, I wonder how many days I would have to work on that, or how many weeks, because I could imagine it very complex. And then I actually started doodling on my sketchpad how I would build it. And then I had an epiphany. I was like, wait a minute, why don't I use the standard objects out of the box? Right? Okay. So, the opportunities, I rename them as job postings. The accounts, I rename them as companies. And then the contacts, I had them typed into recruiter or employee connection, who might be, people already who might be working at that company. And then you ask them, is this a good place to work in? How's your experience? Something like that. And then hiring managers, sometimes you will find a company, you'll see a hiring manager listed there, if you go to the employees of that company. So I'm just hoping that I would get some recruiters or hiring manager land on my guest book page as well on my portfolio, but that will be for later. Some of them I enter, of course, manually. So this is a recent picture that I took. So right now I have more data there. That's why I keep entering data, even if I might not apply to a company, just so I can see how beautiful it looks like on my app. So let's say I applied to several already. So I have here the Kanban view instead of a list view, and I'd be like easily see. I can easily see which one is very towards the end of the journey, so to speak, and which ones do I really want to apply, or have I submitted application? I need to like knock on their doors and kind of like remind them, or in a nice way, if they have received my application. So something like that. And then you kind of also want to see, okay, do I need to follow up on these? So it's easy to see there. Thanks, Natalie. So let's say for this particular job posting, I will have notes and the interviewer's name for each of the interview. I can also write some more details. I can do activities here, new tasks, and I can actually also use the email. So you can use the email. You can have the in your job application tracker app. You can also have the resume filed in your files, and then you can attach that to the email to send to the recruiter or to your interviewer, etc. Whatever. Okay. And this is the last app that I'm presenting to you, my portfolio, which I built using the Experience Cloud. So I watched a webinar on building a portfolio, and I saw some examples, and I got really inspired. I sat for about 12 hours to complete my, I would say, an empty house, like a framework. So, and I posted about that on LinkedIn, and I had tremendous positive response. And I had a lot of comments asking how I built this, how I built that, where did I get that, something like that. So I thought I would hold workshops instead of answering the questions one by one. And I was holding the workshops regularly, helping others build their own portfolios. For this, so this is not really an app, right? But I connected this to my job application tracker app. I'll show you that in a few. So on my portfolio, the reason why I have been encouraging a lot of people, especially even if you're just new to the Salesforce ecosystem and you're just starting to learn, I'm encouraging you to have your portfolio ready so that it's like an empty house that you put furnitures in as you start buying your furniture. So in the same way, as you start learning about Salesforce, as you start building your apps, building your portfolio, you can feature them in the projects page of your portfolio, and whatever other things you can think of. It's not always an app, right? Like this portfolio is not an app. So yeah, that's one. And also, if you have been active in the community, you can have a community page, write things there that you've done for the community, list down whatever groups you have there. I have more down there, and I need to update that actually. Of course, Trailblazer community group, it was down there. I'm part of that, and I'm actively, contributing to that, although a lot of my activities are centered on LinkedIn. Like I said, I tied my portfolio to my job application tracker app by using a web to lead form. So this is a web to lead form. And if you have played with the web to lead functionality of Salesforce, the form that it generates actually looks so primitive, so that the boxes are like right there by the text. And Brandon Van Gelder, I'm not sure that I'm saying his surname right, shared with me the HTML code for this nice looking, very visually appealing web to lead form. And I just kind of changed some of the description here from what's generated. So this one, I used the flow to notify me if someone visited my portfolio and actually filled out my guest book. So it will notify me, and I would see in my leads list the names of those people who visited and signed my guest book portfolio. Okay, so this is not really a project, but David thought this would be fun to share. You can create a QR code to impress the recruiter. It's easy actually to make a QR code. Just search for a QR code generator. And the thing that I found out about this is if you're gonna use that QR code for some time, it expires. So if you're not subscribed to that, it will be not working. If, let's say, your resume lands, because I have this this image is pasted on the header of my resume, so that, let's say, it's printed out and a recruiter is reading my resume, and that's the first thing that catches her eye, which actually happened during we had a session at Talent Stacker with some recruiters, and we went to break rooms, and the recruiter was going through our resumes, kind of dissecting and giving us pointers. And when she got to mine, that's the first thing that caught her attention. She was like, "Oh, QR code." So that was a fun way to catch her attention. But of course, the other things that I had on my resume also impressed her, even though I wasn't certified yet at the time. So I also did the same for my portfolio homepage. I have a QR code for my resume. So this was for my portfolio. So if someone has a printed out or even on the monitor of the computer, if they have my resume up and they see this and they try to scan it using their cell phones, they will see my portfolio. So it's like impressive in the eyes of the recruiter, knowing that you know how to use these technologies.
And given there's a lot of competition, there are so many people applying for the jobs and also competing for the same role. It's all about how you impress the hiring manager by being different, unique, or a few steps ahead. So you will definitely make that first impression in the resume itself by including all these details. This is a great idea, Lori.
Thank you. So I guess that concludes my apps. Just so to remind you, I have Healthcare Heroes Force on the YouTube, and I have my Salesforce Lori channel. The Salesforce Lori has more details on these apps that I've been building, and the last that I uploaded there was actually a full workshop on how I built the portfolio. After that was uploaded, I did not plan to have any more live workshops actually, but Sarah Epting reached out to me to have a portfolio building class in her NPSP master class. So I was so thrilled that she reached out to me for that. It kind of validates that I am indeed qualified to teach about building portfolios, which, I started teaching before I got my certificate. Now I got certified and she's asking me to do this class. That's really an honor and it's such a validation. I feel so accomplished. So I hope we will all build together and grow together in this ecosystem so that we can succeed together, everyone.
Greatly said, Lori. And this is really impressive. And I'm sure the companies will compete now to have you with them. And
I hope so.
I like many of the things that you have discussed. One thing I would like to highlight is, Lori, I know it's been a short while that you have made your switch to the Salesforce. I know it's not even a year, I believe, right?
Right, so this is my 6th month.
Yeah, in such a short time, Lori, you have made yourself very, very much visible. And it's not just you, it's your work, your passion. Your work is it's through the projects that you have done, and your passion by founding the Heroes for Healthcare Workers. I'm sorry, I don't recollect the name.
Healthcare Heroes Force.
Yeah, so it shows your passion, and also you are giving out in a great way to the community. So you are learning, and at the same time you're sharing what you're learning, and you're also helping out. And some of the things that I like what you have been doing is networking with the people who are in the same ship as you, or who are much further and who can mentor you. Just like the way you got the idea of how to create the HTML version, HTML code for the web to lead case, that form. So, and one thing I would like to share with all the Trailblazers is that reach out. If you think somebody can help you out on something, please don't hesitate. There is no harm in reaching out to them and asking out for help. And I am sure that Salesforce Trailblazer community is wonderful, and everybody who you reach out to would be willing to help you, given they have the time and the bandwidth to help you out. And most of them will be willing to help you. So reach out if you need any help. And also continuous learning. So Lori, I like that what you have been learning, you're implementing it. And one thing that I would like to make a point here is, so whatever you're learning, you don't need to wait to learn all the concepts in the Salesforce to get started with implementation of a project. And I have seen people who have visiting the doctors regularly. They have created their own app for tracking their appointments, for their prescriptions, and also the medications, what they have to take. And as they're learning, if let's say today I learned about the validation rules, I go and add that to my app, how to fix some validation rules on the fields that I have created earlier. And in today, I have learned about the reports and dashboards. I'll go and implement that on the app that I already created. So it's like an consecutive way. Whatever you're learning, you can start to stack up to that project, because it's your own project. You don't need to wait for anybody. And also, it's not just for the beginners. So beginners have very hard time finding projects to implement. They can create their own ideas and implement their projects. But also the people who are already working, but they want to gain more experience. They want to learn about more concepts. But we often hear the complaint that their work limits them to be creative. They do not have that opportunities at work to really explore some of the advanced features in Salesforce. So you don't need to wait for that opportunity. So when you're learning about a new feature being released in Salesforce, you can go and implement that in your developer org, and at your work also you can showcase that, and you can get more opportunities. You can get more visibility at your workplace as well. So
Right.
As I said, imagination is the limit, and you can be your own creative way and create your own ideas.
Right.
And Lori, I have seen a question on the Experience Cloud. I don't know if that's been answered or not, but I'm going to ask you anyway. So we have your approach. So the question was how about the Experience Cloud edition. So is that available, or I understand that it comes from the Trailhead Playground, but if you want to implement.
So what you have to do is I actually did the module on build your portfolio on Salesforce, and it directs you to the digital experiences. If you go to the setup, digital experiences, then you'll have to have a domain, and then you start building. You choose your theme and whatnot. All of that I believe I had that addressed in my workshop recording. But yeah, that's how you get there. Digital experiences, you type it out on the setup, and then you create your domain.
Awesome. And I'm sure, Lori, you're more active on the LinkedIn, and you are open to anybody who reaches out to you.
Oh, yes, definitely.
You can post your LinkedIn profile.
I'll stop sharing.
Okay. And I have our another amazing speaker, Mohit. So I am inspired by the kind of creative ideas that he have used, and he have created his own projects. I like the tagline also where he mentioned combining the passion with the project. So Mohit, I can't wait to learn or listen all about your project ideas and how you started, what the approach you followed. So I'll turn it over to you, Mohit. Take it over.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. And my name is Mohit. So currently working in LTI. I have around 3 years of experience, you can say. And I will keep switching the tabs. Okay, so I will start with basically is how to gain or generate your own. Okay. So these are my ideas or what motivates. I usually try to use these 4. One is to merge hobbies with Salesforce. One of my favorite hobbies is football. So I try to keep merging it with Salesforce and create some new idea. Second is every time it won't happen. So I scroll or keep visiting LinkedIn a lot, because many people keep uploading their projects. So I take inspiration from them and try to achieve that and add my further imagination to it. And suppose tomorrow is Saturday and you have decided that you are going to do something on Saturday and Sunday. So don't decide the topic, start deciding what you're going to do on Saturday. What I do is on a regular day, between 5 days, whatever I keep or hear, if I find it interesting, I keep noting it down, so that automatically in those 5 days an idea gets generated and I'm ready immediately on Saturday or Sunday or whenever you have free time. And music always helps. It helps me a lot, just an optional. So the first one was FPL, Fantasy Premier League, which I play. So through that, I thought, why not create an app where I will able to get the details of all the managers who play this game. So I will just showcase this. I will go to my org. My org is visible, correct?
Yeah.
So like when we go here, I will go to that page afterwards. So we need to enter ID, any random ID. Like, and through API, they have an open API. So we get the detail. Here is his team name, the ranking, his name and where he lives. And we can get the past season details or current season. If I click on past, so he has played for 2 years. I can see that 19, and this is current season and what was his ranking and total points he achieved through that. And if I go to current season, so these are like the game weeks. So for every week, what was his like ranking and whatever the points he made. So currently like 30 game weeks have been played, so all those details are there. So I tried to mix like few features like this, using lightning message channel. This was done. And then when I come over here, so this is the data I'm keeping in players PL players data object. So I'm populating it in the reports and dashboards. And whenever I click on get PL info, this is just another API call. So these are the number of players, like users who are playing the game. And these are the players, like actual players, footballers, like number of forwards listed in England, defenders, goalkeepers, and the midfielders over there. This was this is the first project which I had done recently. So the next one is a lightning tree grid customization. Here I got inspired by a user on LinkedIn. He had done a project using lightning tree grid. So I used here lightning tree grid, the normal and the JSON structure. I will show you. So like these are the hierarchies of different countries. And whenever I select, if suppose I select these two, for example, so these two get populated here. And suppose if I need to create a hierarchy under this, so I need to drag drop here. So like under these two will be here, like this one and this one. Again, if I want to insert any of these under this hierarchy, so depending upon the hierarchy, like parent, child, grandchild, sort of the logos will appear differently. Like this is the main parent, under that division, under this division, suppose there are many other teams. So if I select and drag drop this again, so these will populate under this. And once I click update hierarchy, this gets stored as a JSON structure in a field, and I use that to repopulate again. So this was the second project. The third one was recently you may have heard an app called Wordle, which got famous a lot. So I used to play it, and one day I heard that it's going to become premium. So that's when I thought myself, why let's try to create the same what he has done. And I posted this on community, like open. So I will just go. So this is the community link. If you go, there are two tabs, rules. So the rule is defined what to do. So basically Wordle is where you get 5 chances to guess the word correctly. And for like there are color representations. If the color is represented as gray, means the word is not present. Yellow means the word is present but in the wrong spot. And green means it's in correct spot and the word is present. So for example, I will show you, like if I enter word, enter. So like this gray means the word, the today's word is in that these 4 letters do not exist. E is present, but is it in the wrong position? So if I enter directly the correct word, just for an example, I'm showing. So like when you guess the correct word, all green and you get this. So yellow is if not. And the fourth one was maps, you can say. Instead of using Google Maps, I wanted one project where I wanted to use Here Maps because I had seen their post on LinkedIn about some new features. So I'll show you. So like we need to enter a location, suppose. For example, we have the option of this is show traffic flow. I'll select yes. This is show traffic incidents. Yes. And the radius, suppose 2000. So just to see, this is the radius and this is the Manchester location and these are the incidents. Like for example, if I click on it, it says closed. This is the closed, or here work is going on. Sort of live. So this was done using VF Page and API. Any questions? These are my 4 projects.
This is really, really amazing, Mohit. And I know you are already working full time for a company, and then it shows the passion. I have seen your post on the Medium and the Salesforce post where you have mentioned about this latest project of the Salesforce Maps, I believe. I'm really inspired, and I like the tips that you have shared at the very beginning. When you're working, you may have some ideas and you may have some plan to implement that when you get the free time on the Saturday or on the weekend. Then it's for everybody. Now, I also know about a tip using Trello boards, where you can create all your ideas. You can put all your ideas together on the Trello board, and when you have the time, it may be something that you want to learn or something that you want to implement. Create a board, and when you have the time, just start working on those, and then move the things around, and it gives you a sense of accomplishment and also helps you track what you have thought all about and also what you have been implementing and what's in line. So that's one great thing, and I really like all your project ideas, Mohit. I think you are really doing amazing work.
Thank you. Recently, I've started with Medium.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I happen to know about your work, your apps, from the Medium itself. So it shows how passionate you are. You're not just working a full-time job, but also you're keeping up to date with the current releases and the new features, and then implementing them and also sharing them. It shows, it talks for itself. And there's a lot for all of us to learn from our amazing speakers today. Just don't stop, keep learning. That's the motive that we have to follow, especially when we are in the Salesforce ecosystem with the continuous releases and the advanced features coming up. So we have to constantly keep learning and going to the next step and implementing them. It makes us more stronger and confident.
Yes.
And I do have a lot of questions regarding the implementation. Lori and Mohit, both of you, how you have implemented what components and in the very technical details, but I don't want to bother you now. And I'm sure the audience also may have some similar questions regarding the implementation, how, what components, how it's talking to each other, inside details. So
regarding the features, actually, I have listed down on my LinkedIn post, like which all features are involved. Like in the first the app I showed, Salesforce launched new feature called dynamic interaction. So I wanted to try that out. So I have mixed that as well. That app.
Great. Can you please also post about your LinkedIn profile and also the Wordle site URL or any other Medium post that you have done, so we can go back and refer to those posts and learn more.
Sure. In the chat itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't think we have any other questions. It's an amazing session, and I really thank you both, Lori and Mohit, and I thank everybody for joining today's session. And as I mentioned, today's session is recorded and it will be uploaded to the YouTube channel Trailblazing Together. And our next Impact Force session is going to be on consulting, being a consulting partner. It's more about how to be a consultant by Megan Heeman. I haven't yet posted the session, but that's coming up. You can be on the lookout on the user group to get more details. Once again, I thank everybody. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you, everyone. You have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, JB. Thanks, everyone.